Edmonton will be one of the hub cities if the NHL pushes ahead with the return to play phase 4 and host the playoffs in Edmonton and Toronto. Now I guess we just have to wait and see if they're going to be able to pull this off. As you might expect, there are plenty of athletes, hockey, baseball, you name your sport that's trying to get back going, who are testing positive. And even though we're still not quite a month away from when the NHL would start playing, you have to expect that, even a week, 2 weeks from now, during training camps, we're going to get some more positive tests. So I don't know how that, obviously that would impact what the NHL ends up doing.
Well, I think they seem to be safer than Major League Baseball. They can't even get the tests back because God knows they didn't realize that July 4th weekend the testing place might be closed. So sent the tests and never got them back. So, the NHL seems to be doing a better job of protocol, but I don't know how you're going to stop 30 players in 24 cities practicing for 2 weeks, and then okay, on the 26th day of July, say, okay, now I'll show up in Edmonton and not have some positives, because the players in phase 3 can go home and they can go back to the rink. Now, are you telling the players when they go home after practice, you can't go outside, and your kids can't either? You're just supposed to stay inside now till the practice the next morning? It's a little difficult to do. So I think they're going to be, the players in phase 3 are going to be back in the community unless they're at the hockey rink. So I don't know how you're going to stop some positive tests before phase 4 starts. And then the question being, like in Major League Soccer, the Dallas team pulled out because too many players were positive, and they're not in the MLS tournament. The problem is getting one team or two teams with 4 and 5 or 6 positive tests on that one team, and then what happens?
Yeah, because it just begs the question, like when Connor McDavid comes down with the coronavirus, or you name your star player, key players on the team, if your starting goalie gets the coronavirus, they're not going to play if they do.
No, and they're not going to tell you if who the players are if they test positive either. So suddenly you're going to go to the rink and not find McDavid there, and you're going to say, "Oh, I guess he's got COVID-19," and all you're doing is jumping to conclusions. He might have a pulled groin for all we know. That's the one part of the whole thing I don't quite get. Why having COVID is a scarlet letter on your chest that if you get it, can't tell anybody. Lots of famous people have got it, from Tom Hanks to Donald Trump Jr.'s girlfriend, and scores of, Djokovic in tennis, scores of people have got it, and they let people know that they've got it. So I don't really know why pro sport seems to think this is such a deep, dark secret. We can't tell anybody if you test positive for it.
And then there's the question of whether or not the media is going to be in the building to observe the games. Are you going to be up in the press box, or one of your colleagues from the Journal?
I think I hear we can sit in the press box. This is from talking to a few people. We could probably sit in the press box for the games. One way into the rink, which we normally would go into the rink. The only problem with sitting in the press box is you're a long way removed from the ice, and if you've ever sat in that press box, they got those fans cranked up as cold as they possibly can. So it's blowing on you, and you're a long way away from the ice. And if you can't get near the players, do you want to be sitting in a press box all day?
Yeah, and that was the next part. I mean, I can't imagine you're going to get locker room access or any sort of ability to talk to anybody. There's no scrum situation.
No, just like our conversation here will be on Zoom. You'll be sitting in a press box talking to somebody, and then hope you're able to hear, in case there's another game going on or something like that. It's not very conducive to doing the job, but they're so paranoid about any media people getting any access. It's interesting to take a look at the 52-man bubble. When you throw in the 31 players, the general manager, the assistant general manager, the coaches, of which 5 are with the Oilers. You have 5, including a video coach. And then you have, equipment managers. It could be, 3 or 4 of them, because they got a ton of work moving the equipment and cleaning the equipment. 2 trainers, a doctor, compliance officer, health compliance, team physician, a strength coach. It gets pretty close to 52 people pretty quickly. And from what I understand, Bob Stauffer and Jack Michaels, who do the radio work for the Oilers, are not part of the bubble. So I don't know if they can still call the games from the press box from their usual location or what.
When it comes to doing your job, access to people is paramount.
Yeah.
And obviously we're not, it's understandable why you don't want to have, groups of people gathered in a place for all kinds of reasons, in a hockey arena, never mind in a shopping mall, never mind anywhere. But, we have technology. You're right. Here we are communicating this way. And I've seen what other leagues do. Major League Baseball has live interviews with players and managers. Obviously they can do it. I think the NHL can do it too.
Yeah. The problem with whole Zoom interviews is it's not like after a game you're talking, a couple of people are talking to a player. You often would get 15 people on a Zoom call.
That's true.
Trying to get 15 questions in of one player for 10 minutes maybe. You ask your one question and then the other people ask the other questions, but they don't have anything to do with what you're writing. So
yeah. Well, there are limits to what you can do now in this situation.
I would think, Craig, if on the off days when a player's not playing, you should be able to phone up any player and say, like, I'd like to talk to this guy. He's in the bubble.
Even without the coronavirus situation, you don't have that kind of access anymore either.
No, but they're at home and now they're sitting in a hotel room all day with nothing to do.
Yeah, but before the pandemic, in the fall, like you weren't phoning up players or anybody on the team and talking to them because there's a protocol you have to follow.
Yeah.
It's set by the team.
Yeah. So yeah, it's they want to get the message out, but it's going to be awfully controlled. But it's going to be controlled by the NHL, not the teams.